Raleigh. Welcome to Monday COVID-19 quarantine update at the Your Backyard Media Center. As you know, my name is Robert Courts, and our every Monday guest is Dr. Susan Lovelle of Premier Wellness. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Lovelle.
Thank you so much, Robert.
Always a treat. And so you want to just dive in and start with the numbers?
Sure. So as we were kind of saying, the numbers are still bouncing around, which is not unexpected because it has to do not only with what's actually happening, but with also how often we're testing, who's getting the test, how quickly the tests are getting into the system and reports are coming out. So they will continue to bounce around for a bit. For instance, here in Raleigh, actually in North Carolina, the numbers on Saturday were almost 300 more than they were previously in any particular day. And then the next day they were back down again. So the question is, did we really have that many new people, or was it just that, Friday we did a lot more testing? So
Right.
that's kind of where we are at this particular point.
But I think it is safe to say, if you'll agree, that it's not the time to rush out and change your habits. We need to stay close, keep your thinking cap on. And we've set a time or six that we need to see the numbers really trending down. And
Exactly.
all we can really say now is we don't see that.
Right. They're still in that bouncing up and down kind of stage.
Yes. So I'm staying home. Speaking of messages, though, I seem to be getting a little confused on the glove, masks, just masks, gloves, don't need gloves. What's the current thought on the whole mask glove situation?
Okay, so the current thing now is a mask, to wear a mask if you're going into an area that has a lot of people. And so, for instance, and with gloves, you have to kind of think about it. So if you're going to a gas station where there are many people over and over and over using that same gas pump, then it might make sense to use a pair of gloves. But say, for instance, if you're going to the grocery store or something where there are hundreds of thousands of different products and we're all kind of spaced out, then what I do and what's recommended is to really kind of maybe clean your hands on the way in and then clean your hands again on the way out.
So really, gloves are so tough, though. Just taking them off done wrong can recontaminate you.
Oh, absolutely. That's actually one of the things that we learn in, in school, in medical school and everything, that you don't just pull them off. If anything, you can kind of grab the end of each one and pull
Mhm.
it away. And when you do that, you're taking them off without contaminating either hand.
All right, great tip.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. Um, Also have a couple of questions about masks. You have the thin paper ones to a lot of the homemade ones, which are really thick and really cover the your whole face. Can I take a little common sense with the mask too? If I'm going into the grocery store for 45 minutes, some deep shopping, it needs to be a thicker mask, right?
Yeah,
Um,
especially if you're going to be coming in contact with people. A
right.
lot of the stores are still sort of limiting the number that can be in at any one particular time. So, that's a good thing. But I would wear, if you're just outside and walking in the park, maybe
Right.
not necessary. But whenever you're inside and enclosed, then it really makes sense to have that protection.
I see a lot of masks on the trail. Went on the American Tobacco Trail, and if you're looking for something to do, that thing is incredible. And not a lot of masks, but I do see some paper masks, which is encouraging. What's your thought on that? If I'm running down the trail, it's harder to social distance, but I'm wearing a mask. Is that overkill?
Uh, if you're coming in contact with people, because again, it's all about droplets. And when I say in contact, thinking if you're exercising and they're exercising, and neither one of you has on masks, then the opportunity for droplets to kind of spread is maybe a little bit higher, but it's a bigger space. So, for
Right.
instance, one of the things that we had seen more than once is that in choir rehearsals or in churches where they're singing
Right.
and there's a lot of outward force that that transmission has been more so than it would be in the normal population. So it's really
Right.
about force.
Oh, good point. Well, when you're exercising, it sure is forced. At least I am. I'm huffing and puffing.
Right, exactly.
Um,
That's another thing about gyms. Gyms are either about to or have already opened, And that would be another thing to kind of keep in mind, with the people, as you said, huffing and puffing, they're on bikes and things. So that would be another thing to keep in mind.
If I am, say, in a dining table with someone and we're both masks, are we both fairly safe?
I would say at this point, most likely yes, especially if
Okay.
you have a real mask and you're not covered, if you're
Right.
not. Uh, so the important thing with the mask is to make sure that things are not kind of seeping around the side either.
Right.
And remember that the mask is more, unless you're wearing something like a N95, the mask is more for the other person's protection. Let's be totally honest,
Right.
from you. So, each one of you is being respectful of the other.
That's what I like about the mask. I'm sitting there showing I respect you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but if we're both masked, we're probably both fairly safe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Lovelle, all of this and this information coming and going for me is creating a lot of anxiety. And sometimes I feel safe and sometimes I don't. And I know it's okay not to occasionally, but can you give us some help toward this anxiety that we just can't seem to escape?
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that because it's something that I'm hearing a lot from my practice members as well, and just out there. It's because of all the uncertainty and everything that's going on. People's anxiety levels are up, depression is up, and so the whole question is, what do we do? Because this is not going to just go away tomorrow. Even if we snap our fingers and COVID-19 is gone, there's still going to be that aftermath. And so there are two things that I would like to share that I use with people in my practice and that would help with everyone that are both.
Please.
One of them is Insight Timer. It's an app, and it has hundreds of, well, thousands of different meditations and ways for you to start using mindfulness. So I always recommend that. Another thing that is unusual is that there's an organization called Heart Math, like heart and math. And they have a technology that actually helps you realize how your heart, they call it coherence, how your heart is doing. So if you're very anxious or worried, then you look at your graph and it's very irregular. It kind of looks like the stock market right now. But if you're in coherence and tranquil and calm, then it looks very, very wave like and very, very calm. And so they have a technology for you to be able to do that. And for this period right now, they've made that free for people to actually do this course and learn how to manage their thoughts and stress levels by using their heart. You just go to heartmath.com and it's free. I have no connection with it other than I use. So yeah,
Right. You recommend it.
I recommend it exactly.
Well, that's great. Two free resources to help out with the anxiety. Exercise, of course, and listening to you over the weeks, I've changed my shopping habits, Dr. Lovelle, and I'm only buying things that quote unquote look like food.
Yes, I love
Yes.
that.
So down on the chips and the whole processed stuff, and it has really made a difference. So that's
It
good advice. Thank
does. And going forward, that's what we're going to have to do. It's really going to be about how we manage ourselves.
you. Speaking of the future, do you see any major changes in healthcare? I mean, this is shaking it up, right? And a lot of
Yeah.
people don't have healthcare. We've talked about that.
Mhm.
Are there any positive trends or anything going on that we can sink our teeth into, or any news on that front? I know.
Yeah, it's going to probably take a little while, but the biggest thing that I'm hoping for will be that people realize that there are things that they can do to take their own health into their own hands and not to rely on medications or specific treatments. And even the vaccine that's being touted so highly, it's going to be more important that our own immune systems are strong versus relying on a vaccine, whether or not it comes, to kind of
Right.
protect. Yeah,
And that vaccine's good for one COVID item or virus, where your immune system's good for all of them
exactly.
if you plan it right. So please, again, share your contact information for the new listeners. We highly recommend Dr. Lovelle, and you can reach her at
www.premierwellness.com, and I believe it's downstairs, down below. Premier is spelled Premiere. And our phone number is 919-925-5910. And again, tomorrow night, we're doing a free webinar. Tomorrow night will be on gut health. It'll be 7 p.m. And if you go to the website, you'd be able to register for that as well.
We will share that and Insight Time and Heart Math in the notes after we post this. And Dr. Lovelle, thanks again for joining us. You brought me a lot of calm, and able to have an expert sit with us and share is fantastic. And we really appreciate your time. Forward to seeing you next week. And I will wave you. Remember, Raleigh, all the health services you need are right here in your backyard. Thank you. See you soon.
Bye-bye.